Thank you for letting me contribute to your national online conference in the Ukraine. As teachers, you're making such a critical contribution to these difficult times, particularly to the lives of the most vulnerable children. You know, those from privileged backgrounds are going to always find their way around closed school doors to alternative learning opportunities, well supported by their parents, eager to learn. But those from disadvantaged backgrounds will remain shut out if the school shuts down. So this crisis exposes the many inequities in our education systems, that from the broadband and computers needed for online learning, through the supportive environments that help focus on learning, up to our failure to attract talented teachers to the most challenging classrooms. But as the crisis amplifies those inequities, this moment also holds the possibility that we won't return to the status quo when things get back to normal. We have agency, and it's the nature of our collective and systemic responses to the disruptions that will determine how we are going to be affected by them. This is your moment as teachers in the Ukraine, where school closures are needed in the short term. You can mitigate their impact for learners, families, educators, particularly for those in the most marginalized groups who don't have access to digital learning resources or who lack the resilience and engagement to learn on their own. Your national platform provides the ideal opportunity to collaborate, to mutualize open online education resources and digital learning, and also to encourage technology companies to join in to make all of this happen. And you can work to enhance digital learning opportunities for teachers and encourage teacher collaboration throughout the country and even internationally. In this crisis, digital learning has risen from a nice-to-have extracurricular facility to become the lifeline for education. But the opportunities that digital technologies offer go well beyond a stopgap solution during this crisis. Digital technology allows us to find entirely new answers to what people learn, how people learn, where people learn, and when they learn. Technology can enable teachers and students to access specialized material well beyond textbooks, in multiple formats, and in ways that bridge time and space. Alongside great teachers, intelligent digital learning systems cannot just teach you science, but simultaneously observe how you learn science, the kind of tasks and thinking that interest you, and the kind of problems that you find boring or difficult. And the systems can then adapt to the learning experience to suit your personal learning style with far greater granularity and precision than any traditional classroom setting ever can. Or think of virtual laboratories. They give us the opportunity to design, conduct, and learn from experiments, rather than just learning about them. But the COVID-19 crisis strikes at a point when most education systems are not yet ready for the world of digital learning opportunities. According to PISA, just 2/3 of 15-year-old students in the OECD countries are enrolled in schools where digital devices have sufficient computing capacity. And even in a technologically advanced country like Japan, just 40% of 15-year-old students are in schools with adequate software for learning. Less than half of 15-year-olds are in schools with an effective online learning support platform. And 2/3 in schools where principals consider that their teachers have the necessary technical and pedagogical skills to integrate devices in instruction. The state of technology in schools sort of mirrors the state of mind of our school systems. Our school systems were invented in the industrial age, when the prevailing norms were standardization and compliance, and when it was both effective and efficient to educate students in batches and to train teachers once for their entire working lives. The curricula that spelled out what students should learn were designed at the top of the pyramid, then translated into instruction material, teacher education, learning environments, often through many layers of government, until they reached their teacher in their classroom. Well, this structure, inherited from the industrial model of work, makes change in a fast-moving world that is vulnerable to disruptions and crisis far too slow. The changes in our societies have vastly outpaced the structural capacity of our education systems to respond. Even the best education minister can no longer do justice to the needs of millions of students, of hundreds of thousands of teachers and tens of thousands of schools. The challenge is to build on the expertise of teachers and school leaders like you and to enlist you in the design of superior policies and practices. We won't get there just by letting 1,000 flowers bloom. What it takes are carefully crafted enabling environments that can unleash teachers and schools' ingenuity and build capacity for change. It requires innovators who challenge institutional structures that too often are built around the interests and habits of educators and administrators rather than learners. Innovators who are sincere about social change, imaginative in policymaking, and capable of using the trust they earn to deliver effective change. I meet many people who say we cannot give teachers and education leaders great autonomy because they lack the capacity and the expertise to deliver on that. But simply perpetuating our prescriptive approach to teaching will not hold up in this moment of crisis, which demands from teachers not just to replicate the lessons in a digital medium, but to find entirely new responses to what people learn, how people learn, where people learn, and when they learn. Really, the challenges that are in front of us go well beyond bridging school closures. We live in this world in which the kind of things that are easy to teach and test have also become easy to digitize, to automate. The industrial age taught us how to educate second-class robots, people who are good at memorizing and repeating what we tell them. In this age of accelerations, we need to think much harder about what makes us first-class humans. How we complement, not substitute, the artificial intelligence we've created in our computers, and how we build a culture that facilitates learning, unlearning, and relearning throughout life. Algorithms behind social media are sorting us into groups of like-minded individuals. They create virtual bubbles that amplify our views and leave us insulated from divergent perspectives. They homogenize opinions. They polarize our societies. Tomorrow's schools need to help learners to think for themselves and join others with empathy in work, in citizenship. They need to help learners develop a strong sense of right and wrong, a sensitivity to the claims that others make on us, and a grasp on the limits of individual and collective action. At work, at home, in the community, people need a deep understanding of how other people live in different cultures and different traditions, and how others think, whether as scientists or artists. Whatever tasks machines may be taking over from humans at work one day, the demands on our knowledge and skills to contribute meaningfully to social and civic life is always going to rise. I hope in your national conference you will devote sufficient time to think about the design of 21st century curriculum. Technology is going to be an integral part of it. Technology can build communities of learners that make learning more social, more fun. Technology can build communities of teachers to share and enrich resources and practices, and also to collaborate on professional growth and the institutionalization of professional practice. It can help system leaders and governments develop and share best practice around curriculum design, policy, pedagogy. Imagine a giant crowdsourcing platform where teachers, education researchers, and policymakers from the Ukraine collaborate to curate the most relevant content and pedagogical practice to achieve education goals, and where students anywhere in the country have access to the best and most innovative education experience. We could unlock the creativity of educators simply by tapping into the desire of people to contribute, to collaborate, and to be recognized for their contributions. This is how technology can extend the reach of great teaching, recognizing that value these days is less and less created vertically through command and control, and increasingly horizontally by whom we connect and work with. And finally, you can help education to look outward to the next school and the next education system. This is not about copying and pasting solutions from other places. It's about looking seriously and dispassionately at good practice in our own countries and elsewhere to become knowledgeable of what works in what context and applying that consciously. And maybe a key distinction between education systems that will master the crisis and move forward and those that will not. The distinction may be between those education systems that feel threatened by alternative ways of thinking and those that are open to the world and ready to learn from and with the world's education leaders.